Hello, everyone. It's Dr. James Marcum with another biblical prescription for life. Wow, there's been so much going on in the world lately. I was watching television the other day, and a lot of these congressmen and senators were yelling at these people that wanted to serve our country. Just some really crazy stuff's going on in this world. So what I thought we'd talk about today is some of the issues that are coming up in front of our world and nation. And one of them is going to have to deal with this health crisis called obesity, and which is going to be the way that the world chooses to approach it. Are we going to have biblical prescriptions versus Ozempic? I'd like to make some arguments, at least for the biblical prescription part today, and tell you about some of the latest research on Ozempic and the other semaglutides. But before that, let's go to a biblical prescription, a biblical text, and that's John 4, verses 14. And this is Christ talking to you, Christ talking to me. It says, "But whoever drinks of the water that I shall give him will never thirst. But the water that I shall give him will become in him a fountain of water springing up into everlasting life." But notices this in this text. Christ is the one that gives us the water that's going to keep us from thirsting. So it's a gift to us. So I want you to hold that thought with us as we talk about some of the things that's been going on in our world. There's a lot of stuff going on politically right now. I'm not a big politician. My wife is a little bit more interested than I am, but I watched a little bit of this the other day about this gentleman that wants to be the Health and Human Secretary. And they were talking about all sorts of things and arguing about things. And a couple things that jumped out at me as we are going to talk about this topic today. They were pointing out that years ago, for instance, in 1963, okay, that was the year I was born, the average weight for a female was 140 pounds. The average weight for a male was 166 pounds. Well, today, many years later, the average rate for a female is now 170. That's up 30 pounds. The average man is up to 200 pounds. This is a lot of weight over time. Why is that? Well, there's so many different factors. There's so much money to be made from people gaining weight, high processed density foods. There's fast foods. No one's wanting to walk anymore. We're just sitting around. We're listening to things more than outside playing with things. So the world has changed a lot over this period of time. And with this extra weight has come a plethora of chronic diseases. And the real concern was when they were talking is about how can we keep our youth healthy? How can we keep them from, unfortunately, suffering from these chronic diseases that extra weight's going to bring, like diabetes, joint problems, all this processed foods are contributing. And we started to talk about all the chemicals in foods. It's just a major issue with health. And that's why this movement, this Make America Healthy movement, even if we don't agree with all of it, we have to admit there's a big problem going on with all the extra weight. And then we bring up the money that's been spent. You know, the United States spends a lot of money in healthcare, Medicare, $900 billion. And yet in the United States, we spend a lot of money. We have great technology, but we're one of the sicker countries, the industrialized countries in the world. Even Costa Rica has a longer longevity and their children do better than ours, and we spend all of this money. So there's a lot of people throwing blame. Is it because of we're just lazy in America? Do we just want fast food? Is it the media that's selling us these goods? Is it big pharma always getting us a quick fix? Is it this narrative that's going on that we have to live this way, that we can't have any other options? Well, when we look at it this way, we look at right now, in my lifetime, the way we dealt with weight has changed dramatically. Nowadays, we go to the doctor and he's going to talk to you about bariatric surgery, these new GLP-1 agonists or semaglutides. Probably the best one known is Ozempic, but Wegovy. There are many of them out there on the market. But I want to show you they're not free of side effects. And when we talk about how we should approach this weight problem, I'm going to say that I want us to start with biblical prescriptions, because the Bible, this is the source of truth, the Word of God, something we can depend on. But let's look at, for instance, Ozempic. A recent study came out and they looked at about 5,000 people that had been on these medications for a while. One of the things that they noticed that 5 in 1,000 of those patients developed a serious side effect called pancreatitis. That's where the pancreas starts digesting itself. It's a very serious problem. 10 in 1,000 developed a serious problem called gastroparesis. That's where the GI system just becomes paralyzed. It doesn't move. Could lead to something called a small bowel obstruction, where things don't move through our bowels. Then there was lots of other side effects, nausea and vomiting. And a recent study that I read said that people that have been on it, 2/3 that are on it for weight loss don't stay on it long-term for a plethora of reasons. One of them is that it's very expensive. It's not sustainable. So when we look at the modern medicine, which is being promoted by Big Pharma, which controls a lot of the media, a lot of the commercials, a lot of the stuff we're hearing, a lot of the discourse that we're hearing out there, when we think about it, it's not sustainable. It costs a lot of money. There's side effects. Those things aren't so good. Those aren't so good. Now, let's look for a second at biblical prescriptions. That I'm going to give you some to help us manage weight today. Some biblical prescriptions. And I've done this before, and there's some other older videos that we can link to that you can also get even more biblical prescriptions. Biblical ideas of how we can manage and deal with not only weight, but many of our other health problems. We won't have to worry about the pancreatitis, the gastroparesis, the bowel obstructions, the expense, and all of those things. Well, we might have a different plan. Now, can some people benefit? Those with diabetes, those with other issues going on? Yes, they might benefit some, but I think we're going to benefit much more if we start in our weight management for the country and the world, if we start with biblical prescriptions. So let me share a couple of those with you. This isn't going to have side effects. There's not a lot of expense. And this is very, very sustainable. So let me turn to a couple biblical prescriptions that we can apply to weight management to help us lose weight, especially as we're moving through the year. The first one I like to have you turn to is Proverbs 16, verse 3. Commit your works to the Lord. So commit your acts, commit your brains to the Lord, and your thoughts will be established. Well, when you commit your works, your deeds to the Lord, your brain, your thoughts will be established. This is very important because our actions begin in our brains. And if God controls our thoughts and our brains, guess what? Our actions will be improved too. This might be actions might include eating less processed food, eating more whole food, plant-based foods. It might include moving. I read a recent study that showed if you would get up every hour and just do some deep squats, that was very beneficial in helping our bodies do better. Then we do regular exercise instead of sitting, those type of things. Well, it starts in the brain, and sometimes we can't do it. We have to overcome everything out there. So that's why we have to ask God to help us with this. Another biblical prescription is Psalms 20, verse 4 and 5. And there's many out there. And I encourage you, go to the scriptures. Ask God to show you the biblical prescriptions that will help you in your health and especially in your weight management journey. But I'm saying this is where we should start. Getting the strength, the power, the ability to change. Psalms 20, verse 4, it says, may he grant you according to your heart's desire. So all of us hopefully will desire to be healthy, desire to move weight off of us, and fulfill all your purpose. We will rejoice in your salvation, and in the name of our God, we will set up our banners. May the Lord fulfill all your petitions. So in our weight management journey, let's ask God to help us. Let's ask us, our Creator, the one in charge of the whole universe. Let's ask for help. Let's expect the help, and let's plug into the help. Let's start here in our weight management journey. So here's another biblical prescription. Another one I love is Philippians 4:13. I can do what? All things. That includes maybe not eating big at night. That includes drinking more water. I can do all things. How do we do it? Do we do it on our own? No. We do it through Christ because he wants to strengthen us. He wants us to be healthy. He doesn't want us to continue the trend that's been going on for many years. He doesn't want us to have these side effects like pancreatitis, gastroparesis, bowel obstruction, and have to spend a lot of money caring for our bodies. And then a fourth biblical prescription that we can use to start in weight management is this. 1 Thessalonians 5:18. In everything, give thanks, for this is the will of God. Well, you might ask, how do I give thanks to a health problem like having extra weight? How do I give thanks for that? Well, it says in everything give thanks, including our trials, including the things that we need help for to overcome, including all of those things, give thanks. Because this is God's will for us, because we need to be thankful even in our trials. When we have that attitude of gratitude, things start to be easier. So I'm saying today that let's use these 4 biblical prescriptions to help the world and us, and even more, lose weight. Let's give that a try first. You know, when we do that, probably not going to have pancreatitis, gastroparesis, a lot of expense. Hopefully 2/3 will not be quitting. This is something, these biblical prescriptions that are sustainable long-term can also help us understand the few people that might benefit from this. But many people do not benefit at all. They just get excited about the hype, the quick fix, what's in the media. Everyone else is doing it. But so far, I don't think this is the real solution. And if we look back at some of the statistics over weight gain and chronic disease over the last 40 years or so, are we heading in the right direction? We're spending more money than any country on earth. Are we getting the good results? Are the answers out there? Or is the answer in looking at the Creator, spending time in the Bible, letting this be the input that changes our lives? Well, I'm saying today, I'm going to continue to promote and talk about the strength the Bible has and that Christ is the key to health. And he can help us and our country and our nation. And when we say, let's make America healthy again, well, let's also put God at the center. Let him be part of our health care plan. So I want to get back to our text today. We talked about that text earlier. And I want to leave with this. Remember, it says these were the gift from God was the water. But remember, everything that we give thanks for, because when God gives us something, the grace of God, when we receive that, that is a gift. Now, why do some people get more gifts and other people get less gifts? Why do some people try really hard to lose weight and do all these things and it comes easy and other people's don't? Well, it's not the result of anything that we strive for. The fruit or the grace or the gifts or the ability to overcome, it really comes, it's a gift from God, and it comes from abiding, staying with him in relationship, listening to him in the Word, praying, looking at nature, abiding in him, and letting him decide when it's time for you to have your gift, your gifts, your grace. We're all looking for future grace that we get in heaven. So I feel impelled even more now that these debates are happening. All this politics is occurring. I feel that we need to speak out our voices, Christian physicians, healers, providers from all over. We need to unite and speak out. There's so many people doing great work. We need to unite around the great physician and promote these biblical prescriptions. Well, I'm going to be speaking out soon at a conference in Arizona in March, and I want to show you a short promotional clip of something out there. And if you happen to be out in Phoenix and want to join us, I would love to meet with you and talk to you. This is something you might be interested in. I covered a lot today. I really wanted to point out, do we want biblical prescriptions for weight? And I gave you some. Or do we want Ozempic? How do we want to handle this changing health world? How do we want to make America and the world healthy again? Well, we want to make it healthy through the power of Christ, through the living word, through the water that God gives us as we abide in him. So comment below, share this with your friends and neighbors. I hope you liked it. I hope you had some benefit from this. Go and read those biblical prescriptions to improve the way you manage weight, the way you can help others manage weight. And there's so many more scriptures. And we have some other scriptures that we've talked about in the past to help you on this journey. I'm Dr. James Marcum, and I'm going to be back very, very soon with yet another biblical prescription for life.